And we're live into Facebook, guys. Welcome to Bosses in Action. This time, we're going to be talking to Brian Curtis and Dale Archdekin. Archdekin. Just in case you were wondering. We're live into Facebook, guys. Oh, hold on. There we go. Got them back.
Gotta mute it.
Did that to myself the other day, training and follow Boston.
Archdekin. It's like Vaynerchuk. Every time I read it, I remember Archdekin. So
he's Dale A now.
All right, let's talk about conversion. You guys run this awesome show called Cash Call, and it's my favorite. By the way, it's my favorite show to tune into.
There's this little known group. It's called Lab Coat Agents. If nobody's ever heard of it, you should go look it up. Yeah, it's going to be big someday. That's mark my words. It'll be big.
We're working on it. We're working on it. You're so funny. Well, look, let's talk about lead conversion, because in that session that you do for Cash Call, you guys go over calls and you dissect them. And that's the coolest part, man. I don't think I've ever really seen that anywhere else. And so the ability to be able to take a call, not necessarily make fun of it, destroy it, but just use it to help us build a better approach on how to convert leads. That's been awesome to see. And so that's part of what I want to talk about today. Brian, we've done a webinar before for Bosses in Action. Dale, this is your first time. I'm going to go to Dale first. For those people that don't know Dale, he's already in the follow-up boss world. Dale, can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, absolutely. So, I can talk about the follow-up boss stuff. So I have a training company called Smart Inside Sales. We have a training course called Conversion University. Conversion University has partnered with Follow Up Boss so that all Follow Up Boss members have access to the video portion of our Conversion University training as part of your Follow Up Boss membership. And then if you like it and it makes you feel tingly and good, you can come and do some live training with my company too, where we actually role play and practice stuff. So I sold real estate, figured out how to teach other people how to sell real estate, figured out how to grow and manage ISA departments, and then took the show on the road to teach other teams and brokerages how to grow and scale their sales and inside sales departments. So that's in a nutshell where all that came from.
Awesome. And then my team is all in that. So we tune in every Wednesday and Fridays for those calls. So thanks, Dale.
Yeah. I want to talk about the call review stuff. And so Brian, Brian does call review, which is where Cash Call came from, does that with his team. Where I learned why to do call reviews with your sales team when you're training them is because about after the second or third time I heard, hey, this is how the dialogue went with the ISA that I'm training on my team. Hey, you know what? Maybe you should say this when you talk to that lead and they shut you down and try to kick you off the phone. Oh yeah, I said all that. Okay, well, maybe try this. Oh no, I do that too every time. Yep, every time. It's just the leads, they suck, man. Gosh, I'm stumped. Maybe I should listen to what happened so that I can grow as a trainer and a manager. And then I figured out you actually weren't doing any of that stuff that I told you to do, right? And now you and I both know you weren't doing what we talked about. So let's try that again. So that's where call review came from.
That's very smart. Very smart, guys. All right. So Brian, you're a coach.
I am.
And I've sent you a couple of people your way, high level, right? More team structured growth.
Yeah, that's kind of where we're focused right now, is really trying to help people grow teams and take it to the next level, and I think there's a big need for that right now in our industry.
And I know you more as like the follow-up guy, nurturing follow-up systems, that type of guy. So thanks for being on. Again, you're also part of the Follow-Up Boss community as a moderator, just like Dale. Now let's get into the good stuff, guys. I would be a banana, but let's do this as me normally. I don't want to be a banana for this one. Where would we start when it comes to conversion? If we're trying to figure out why we're not converting at the level we want to be at, where do we start?
You want to go first, Brian?
Sure, I'll go first. So I think one of the biggest things that people miss is they miss a plan. So, and here's what I mean by that. How often do people get on the phone and go, well, I'll just wing it, because I'm a great salesperson. I'm great at dialogues. I memorized all my scripts. So one of the big things that we're focused on right now on my team specifically and people I work with is an objective. Like, Think about it. Think about someone playing a sport. What's your objective? I don't know. We're just going to show up. That's how most real estate agents show up for showings, for lead generation, for making phone calls. So I made a very simple, let's not make this super complex, 4-step method every phone call. Step one is I want to build some rapport. So in case anybody doesn't know that, you can learn every technique on the planet, but if you're not in rapport with somebody, none of that matters. They're just going to want to get off the phone with you or not work with you. So one is always build rapport. Two is do some discovery. And here's what I mean by that. All too often, we find out about the one house that people want, but we really don't find out what their wants and their needs are. And Dale's really good at this, and he talks about this a lot, is asking the next question. You know, I want to live in Denver, Colorado. Most people go, great, Denver, Colorado. There's a next question there. And so going to that next level is important. And then 3 is obviously, and this is the one, if you ask 100 agents, 99 of them will say this: the number one, the only goal of a phone conversation is to set an appointment. That's my 3rd goal. If you notice, that wasn't even my 1st or my 2nd goal. Most people are going right for the appointment. And with the correct lead, I think that's an important thing to do. But ultimately, especially when you're talking with leads who are further up in the funnel, going for the appointment in the first 30 seconds is a great way to get hung up on, or a great way to get, no, I'm not interested. No, I was just looking. No, I'm not. No, I don't want to talk to you. So, you know, you got to ramp up to this stuff a little bit. You know, no, a direct sign call, that's different. Let's set the appointment. And then last for me, and this is something that we've really been focusing on the last probably 6 months, is some kind of button up. And here's what I mean by that. We'll use a script that looks like this. So you called in through realtor.com, and I wanted to just let you know, sometime in the next 24 hours, you're probably going to receive 10 to 15 phone calls from other agents. Just tell them that you're working with Brian Curtis at HomeQuest Realty, and you won't have to go through all this again. So, you know, 4 steps: build rapport, number 1. 2, do some discovery. 3, set an appointment. And then 4, button that up. So that's some basics that I like to really focus on during phone calls.
All right. Can you repeat those one more time? I'm going to
absolutely.
Barry, can you type those into the chat there?
Absolutely. Build rapport. Really good. Build rapport. And again, none of this works if you don't build some rapport. 2, do some discovery. Find out what these people are wanting at a high level. 3, set an appointment so we can actually meet them. And then 4 is do some kind of button up so that they're not going to work with 7 other realtors in between your appointment and now.
I like that, man. All right. So that's actually really good at all levels, because even if you don't set an appointment because they're not ready, you're trying to button them up for the future. So
yeah, you don't get all 4 on every call. A perfect call has all 4. Sometimes you don't set the appointment. You know, sometimes discovery is rough, but that going with a goal, going with an objective, and at least you can figure out, did you do a good job or not, right?
That's very key. I like that. All right, Dale, going to you, man. On those 4 things, that's a great objective to start with and say, okay, here, I've got it outlined, right? But part of the challenge is the way you say things and when you say certain things. Because one thing I've learned from being on the calls that you have is that you're like, look, you said it all out of order, right? Or whoa, what are you doing saying that at the very beginning? Like, no. Yeah. Or where's the tonality? Like, you're not even saying what you really want to say in the right way, right? So can you share what you think of that so that we can do better when it comes to that?
Yeah, I would say that newer agents, ISAs, people that are less experienced at having a sales conversation with strangers, which is essentially what we're doing, and especially having a sales conversation with a stranger over the phone who you can't see and read their body language. So when you don't have much experience doing that, there's a lot of fear and anxiety that's going on with them. They're doing all this dance in their brain of like, oh my God, I've got to win. I have to set it up. I have to get this piece of business. I'm fumbling over what to say. And I'm so nervous that I really can't pay attention to the other person that I'm interacting with and read the situation, if that makes sense. So they're really struggling with that stuff. And so for those new ISAs and agents, honestly, it just takes a lot of jumping into the fire, right? Until you can figure out how to handle it. You kind of have to go through those growing pains unless you work with us and you do that practice ahead of time outside of practicing on your leads, which is a really good idea, right? So that's the newbies. And then you have the people who start to get their legs under them, start to get some practice and some experience. And what I would say I see happen oftentimes is they either close too quickly, right? They get happy ears and they're like, oh God, a piece of business. Yes, you want to buy a house with 4 bedrooms? I can do that. Let's get the house with 4 bedrooms. Can you meet with me Wednesday, right? Too fast. Or the other thing is they roll over and die too quickly. No, I'm not ready to talk to an agent right now. Okay. Can I call you every month or so randomly while you're in line at the grocery store or picking up your kids to see if you're ready yet? Right? That kind of happens there in that middle stage. Or then you get, once so we oftentimes have to correct that. So if you're an under closer, we have to force you to close more. If you're an over closer, we have to slow you down and get you to have a relationship with somebody before you can lean in for a kiss, right? That's what we have to work on with those people. So that middle area is where you can really identify what needs to happen. And then when you have people with more experience who can turn a conversation based on your advice, right? Like they can listen to what they did, or you can talk it out in a role play scenario. And you can be like, hey, do you know how you put this piece here and that piece there? Try switching them around, or do it slower until you get this from the other person. And when they get to that phase, then they're like, oh, okay. Yeah, man, I can get that, because they already have the depth of experience. They have the mental space, like I call it bullet time, right? You know, in like the Matrix movies, how Neo can like slow down time enough to see the bullet trajectory and sort of move out of the way. When you're having a sales conversation, you develop such a skill that, and by listening to your calls, you develop such a skill that not only can you be thinking about perceiving this person, understanding where we're at, and doing a chess game in your head about where should we move this next for the best result, right? That's the bullet time that you eventually get to. I have no idea what question I'm answering, but all this sounds great. Can you bring me back to the question?
That was
stuff,
good.
though.
You actually you answered it.
I got lost.
I love it. That was good. Carla has a great question, guys, and one of you can take this one. But how can we build rapport prior to the first call at the introduction? Sometimes they just hang up. They don't give me the chance at the sound of hello, I'm Carla, I'm with so-and-so. And I've been contacting by email and text first just to feel it out and then calling. What are your suggestions?
I can give some very concrete suggestions on getting hung up on. There's a couple of specific techniques that we teach that reduce the amount of hangups that you get, believe it or not. So you have to first think about a few things, right? This person, and especially this day and age, sees a number that they don't recognize, right? They're not on my phone. I don't recognize you. I answer that phone. I don't recognize your voice. And this is the make or break point, right? The first words that come out of your mouth, and the fact that I don't recognize you. And so when that happens, things like not matching their first word, the lead answers the phone and says, hello. And you say, hey there, this is so-and-so. Is hey there the same word as hello?
Nope.
It is not, right? Now, you know that in the back of our brains, we are very simple like creatures, right? We have like lizard brain back here. So lizard brain is always afraid that it's going to get eaten, right? And it's looking for, does this match or does this not match? And if I say lead, if I say hello as a lead and I hear back, hey there, or whatever, lizard brain's like, nope, that don't match. It might eat you. Be afraid of it. That's the first error. So just match their same word, because you can. It's cheap. It doesn't matter. If they think you should say hello when the phone is answered, you say hello to them. Okay, do what they do. Now, this is another make or break. When is the last time, Tristan, you called your friend Brian and you said, hey, is this Brian? When's the last time you did that?
I don't think, I just go, what's up, man?
Yeah. Hey, what's going on, man?
You know it's Brian.
To each other, right?
I know,
it's Brian.
That's
if
right.
You call the lead and you're like, hi, is this Mary? Mary knows I didn't recognize that number, don't recognize that voice. You don't know who I am, and you're probably not a bill collector from my kid's school, so I probably don't need to listen to you. It probably means you're a telemarketer, right? You've just now shortened the amount of time that person's going to be on the phone with you. Instead, you match their word. You say confidently, hi, Mary, this is so-and-so with whatever. How are you today? Get them to answer you, okay? That's going to cut down 50% of your hangups right there.
Yeah, and let me add a couple of things that I think it's important. So if you have a more legitimate, and here's what I mean by that. If a person's a realtor.com lead, if they're a Zillow lead, if they're a HomeLight lead, hey, HomeLight asked me to give you a call. Oh, you're doing
Yes.
exactly what somebody else told you that you wanted to talk to me. I'm building some legitimacy. So a couple of things. There's nothing that's more frustrating. Dale and I, we bag on people for this all the time on there. Is this Bob? No. The second I give you that opportunity to put that wall up, I'm going to put it up. And just remember, we're doing interruption marketing. What's interruption marketing? I'm driving through my day, whatever the heck that is, and then Dale calls me. That's interrupting what I was doing. So I've got to show some kind of value as quickly as possible. So Dale and I are both not big scripts people. That's not, we're not going to tell you to memorize 150 different scripts, but we are going to tell you to memorize your intro scripts. Why? Because if you walk into a call and go, hey, Dale, this is Brian, and I'm done with you. Like, we are done. I got nothing. So there's that. And then the second that person speaks, we're trying to mirror and match their volume, their tone, and their rate. So what do I mean by that? So I'm actually building this class out to teach it. So a little bump there. I want to make sure that I am matching them. So Dale talks slightly slower than I do. So if I was talking to Dale, I would not be talking as fast as I am right now because Dale thinks I'm a crazy person. But also, if I talk quickly, like me, and I get on the phone and go, yeah, this is Brian, and I'm like, this guy's a moron. So we've got to match these people, and it's our first opportunity to do it. So my quick two things is you have legitimacy. So again, HomeLight asked me to give you a call. Or, hey, you called me the other day off of my sign, and I wanted to make sure I was following up with you. So if you have something that, use that legitimacy. If you don't, just memorize your intro script. Hey, this is Brian with Curtis Realty Group, just following up because you made an inquiry on my website, and we're just checking in to see if you're looking to make a move soon or if you're just window shopping.
Yeah.
So as you can tell, I can say that script. I can even say it faster. Why? Because I did memorize that script. Now, again, I don't have 30 others that I've got memorized throughout the conversation, but intro scripts, got to memorize them. Makes you sound like know what you're talking about, and makes you sound professional.
Yeah. Okay. Tristan, can I role play for you another horrible way to enter your call?
Please,
and
that's
I hope
what
that
I
nobody
wanted.
ever does this.
Let's do it.
Okay. Let's do a really bad one. Okay. So I'm a complete stranger. You have no idea who I am.
No,
right?
I don't.
A strange number comes up on your phone and you mistakenly answer it, right?
Yep.
You're like, oh man, I shouldn't have done that. Okay. Ring, ring.
Hello?
Hey, Tristan, how's your day going?
Who's this?
Yeah, there you go. That's don't ever do that. That is terrible intro script number 4. Don't do that.
Dude, you guys should write an ebook. Terrible intro scripts.
How to waste your time and go broke in sales. This is the list of intros to use.
That's a really good idea, guys. You should do that.
And what Dale did there, by the way, is we have 6 basic human needs, and one of them is certainty. And what he did is create a whole bunch of uncertainty. And guess what? When I become uncertain, I don't like that. Our job is not to make someone feel uncomfortable in the first 5 seconds of a phone call. If you want to make sure you're not successful, make sure you're making everyone feel uncomfortable.
Yeah, exactly. I think half of the solicitation calls I get start like that. You've gotten those, right?
Dude.
No idea who you are or why you're calling me, and you just want to say hello and ask me how my day is or some other banal entry, right? And I'm like, oh God, dude, listen, can I hire you to be an ISA for me? I'll double whatever they're paying you and teach you how to do this better. No? Okay, great. Good talking to you.
Dude, that's a good
Here's another question, Tristan. Do we want to answer that?
Yeah, James Deloney, is that the one?
I see one from Sam. Can't pronounce Sam's last name.
All right, go to Sam's and then I'll go to James.
Okay. While we're on this call stranger subject, do you recommend calling at certain times? I usually call follow up with clients between 7 and 9 p.m. at night. I can give you time to eat dinner. What time do you suggest? So statistically speaking, 8 to 10 and 4 to 6 are the best times to make phone calls. I am not a fan. You better not call me at 9 o'clock at night. I'll be honest. We're going to have a conversation that's not going to go well if I answer. So, I mean,
Brian, would you even pick up the phone though? Come on.
I wouldn't, but there are people who will, because the other thing is, like, if you're like me, if you're persistent, I'm going to call you every night at 9 o'clock if you're on my 9 o'clock call time, and eventually you're going to pick up the phone and yell at me.
True.
No, I'm not a fan of 7 to 9. I'm a fan of 4 to 6 and 8 to 10. I lean towards 8 to 10 because most people by 4 to 6, or most agents are wiped out by then, and they'll just come up with the excuse not to use it. But yes, 4 to 6 is dinner time. You can call. I wouldn't call past 7 if I'm cold calling people. That's just me. Dale, Tristan, I'd love to hear your thoughts.
Yeah, so that is I mean, that's the standard, right? Which is morning calls are the best, after late afternoon into evening, second best, dead zone in the middle of the day. However, I want to give this caveat to people listening, especially if there's any team leaders listening, trying to decide how to set this up. I have clients right now especially in Canadian markets, for some reason, they get the highest number of pickups somewhere between 3 and 6 p.m. And I have no idea why. They even get more pickups than they do in the morning time. So, this is a rule of thumb that Brian and I and Tristan are giving you. However, you need to test it out in your market and the best time to call is when the most people are going to answer the phone. That's the best time to call. So figure out what that is. Typically, historically, it's been in the morning, evenings, and then lastly, mid-afternoon.
That's true, guys. That's actually very true. And then also another caveat: if it's an online lead that's coming through at that time and they're texting you, then call them. If you're having a full-blown conversation with them, like I was having at midnight when I was in New Orleans on whatever that street is called, right?
Bourbon.
I was like, yeah, Bourbon.
Can't
Bourbon
remember,
Street.
huh?
Bourbon.
It's the one it's what you wake up smelling like.
Bourbon Street. Oh, that's so true. That's so true. All right. Question. Gregory says, what's the correct language instead of what was just demonstrated? So when you called me up and said, hey, how are you doing? Or how's your day? What would be something good, guys?
So Brian gave a really good one. We can go over Brian's again for his situational entry, right? Which is lead specific. If it's a general one, let's say I'm just calling my database of a big pile of people and they're older leads, right? They don't remember what they did or whatever it may be. The best thing to do is to introduce who you are, why you're calling them, and what you want to know. Like that's the best way to get into your conversation, because you'll notice, Tristan, when I did it completely in the absence of any of that information, your immediate question was, who the hell are you, right? So just lead with that. What the lead wants to know is, who are you? Why are you calling me? And what do you want? So answer those things for them.
Yeah, and Dale, and that script that I did, and I'll give Dale full credit. I tweaked my scripts based on Dale's training. So, we share ideas all the time. But if you remember it, I'll just say it again. It's Brian Curtis with Curtis Realty Group. I'm reaching out today because you made an inquiry on my website. Just wondering if you're looking to make a move in the near future, and that's the important part, or are you just window shopping? The reason that's important is, if I'm not ready to get interrogated by a real estate agent and they just say, or window shopping, I go, now I don't have to, now I'm not going to get interrogated. They're not going to, try and put me in a box. That lets their guard down, which allows us to do step 2, which is discovery. So I think that's
it gives them an out.
Yeah, completely gives them
or
an out.
Are you just window shopping is essentially permission to say no to a salesperson.
Exactly. Now, and I'll let Dale do this. So what's the one question that you don't ever ask and about 50% of people do ask after I use that script?
Do you want to guess? What you shouldn't do, Tristan? Do you want to guess what you shouldn't do?
You guys
Somebody
go.
Says,
I don't want to
I'm just window shopping. Oh, great. So when do you think you want to be moved into your new home? Or when are you thinking about making a move?
It happens again and again and again.
Brian just said, I don't have a time frame, salesperson. And the salesperson was like, oh, great. What's your time frame? And the lead's like, Jesus, get me out of here.
That's so true. That happens all the time in those calls you record.
It does.
I hear that often. That's crazy. All right. Question from James. Sorry, James, it took us a little bit to get to yours. What are some tips for framing a long-term follow-up plan for a relocation client or somebody that's just far away from making a move 6 to 12 months out?
Yeah, I have what we call the logical next step. And so here's what I can tell you, that the worst one is, I'll start from the worst, we'll go to what I think is the best. Worst one is, oh, okay, Brian, well, I'm going to send you some properties, and is it okay if I follow up with you in a couple of months and see where you're at? That sucks. Slightly better is, okay, Brian, well, hey, if you're wanting to be moved into your new home, let's say in August, I don't know if you know this, but it takes, we need to have your house probably under agreement by, say, June, so that we can get all the way through the process and the inspections and the mortgage and everything like that, so that we can have you in by August. So why don't we get together like early summer? Does that work for you? Now, That's slightly better because at least we laid out some kind of plan, but I just jammed all of that down this lead's throat. And the lead is like, I just went from August to June to like, what am I supposed to do now? So instead we take what that was and we actually break it apart and we lead them backwards logically. I'm going to do it real fast so that I don't take up too much time. Brian, can you role play with me?
Go.
You're moving in August, okay?
Okay.
So Brian, you say you want to move in August. Is that like August 1st or the end of August? What do you think would work best for you?
I need to be in before the end of August.
Oh, fantastic. Okay, so end of August. Got it. I don't know if you know this, but it takes about a month to a month and a half from when you find the perfect home to get all the way through the inspections and negotiations for you to actually have keys in hand. So if you want to have keys in hand by the end of August, you and I really need to have found the perfect home and get it under agreement by even as early as say mid-June. Is that something that would work for you?
Yeah, I think I could probably do that. I could come visit in June because then we'll have time to go back and take care of our stuff. And yeah, absolutely.
Fantastic. And if you need to find the perfect home by mid-June, we know that on average, it takes our clients about a month of serious shopping. So if you need to find the perfect home by mid-June, really, you'd probably need to start serious shopping by even as early as mid-May. Do you think that might work for your time frame?
Yeah, I mean, I think I could probably make that work.
Okay, excellent. And so if you need to start serious shopping by mid-May, when would you like for us to meet so that we can lay out a really good game plan to ensure that you get into that really exclusive school district and find a great deal on your next home?
I mean, it sounds like you got a plan. Do you think maybe the 1st of May or when, whatever works?
I think that's a great idea. Yeah, why don't we do that? So let's set a time that we'll get together 1st of May. We'll walk you through all of that stuff and set up a really good game plan, okay?
Sounds good.
Did you hear this guy just pick when we were going to meet? And that meet is going to be, I don't know, 3 or 4 months prior to when he said he wanted to be moved into something?
Yeah.
That is a logical next step. And we did it backwards.
I love that. All right. So Brian, how are you converting seller leads? Online lead sellers, Facebook, Google.
Wow. Okay. You change gears on me. Perfect.
Yeah.
So step one is, it depends on that lead source too. Like if I get a Google LSA, for example, oftentimes those people are like, I want to list my house. Really easy to convert something like that.
Yeah, those are easier.
So like home val leads is probably the biggest example that we see because most people have the opportunity to create those. My favorite script with the home val is, hey, by the way, I can do this via text. I can do it via email. I can do it on the phone if I get them on the phone. Hey, Dale, this is Brian with Curtis Realty Group. I saw you made an inquiry about the property values. If you don't mind, would you rate your house on a scale of 1 to 10 for me? It'll allow me to actually get a better idea of what the value of your home is before I prepare a report for you. And so that 1 to 10 script, oftentimes they'll say, my house is a 7. Perfect. So would you tell me what makes it a 7? Have you done some upgrades? And basically what you're trying to do is get them to talk about their house. Here's what most people do. They get on the phone, they go, hey, Dale, this great chat with you today. I was wondering, when are you planning on selling? Well, I didn't ask for sell. I asked for the value of my house. So, understanding what that person wants and why they want it. They might be looking to refi. They might just be bored. They might, who knows? So making the assumption that because they're a home val lead, they're looking for a time frame to sell is a bad assumption. So my rule is, if I'm working, especially home vals, how can I get them to talk as much as possible? Because believe it or not, that's building rapport because they're talking and I'm not.
You earn the permission to ask a sales question, right? So we are all salespeople, and believe me, consumers never forget that. They know we're salespeople, right? And how many times do you find yourself desiring to talk to a salesperson before you need help purchasing something? Virtually never, right? If you're not ready to buy, you don't want to talk to a salesperson. So if you're talking to somebody who isn't ready to list their house, and the first thing you ask is, when do you want to list their house? And they didn't have the intent to do that right away, they're going to brush you off and become cold.
Yeah. Guys, I think we should play the cash call into Follow-Up Boss as well. The community.
I think it's a great idea. There's absolutely no reason not to do that.
Can we stream into more than one Facebook group at a time?
Dale,
or will a satellite crash?
No.
We broke Google.
It might. If we play it into the Lab Coat Agents business page first, then our team can share it directly into the group or any group. because
Okay.
it's a business page, right? Then at that point, anybody can see it.
Okay.
So let's plan on doing that because we're getting a lot of questions that we're not getting to. Like I answered them, but I know they're not complete answers. So people will definitely learn in the group when you guys do this. So
Excellent.
let's do that, guys. Brian, how do people get a hold of you if they want to coach with you?
So Facebook Messenger is great. I get a lot of DMs. Feel free to DM me on Facebook Messenger or, Brian at searchnwa.com. Brian at searchnwa.com is my email address. Feel free to do that. But honestly, the easiest way is just to Facebook message me. I look at that every day.
Cool, cool. All right, Dale, if somebody wants to hire your company to teach their ISAs or just buyer's agents or just agents in general, like I have, where do they go?
Yeah. So they can go to my website, smartinsidesales.com, or they can hit me up on Facebook. I get a lot of Facebook friend requests too that want to inquire about training, and we'll get you taken care of.
Awesome, guys. Well, let's do this again, and then let's look forward to cash calls in follow-up, boss. I like it.
Hey,
Love it.
all right.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Tristan.
everybody.